I've created my own system, and I don't need to read a book. And I've read over 2,000 books. I have 1,200 on Audible. I don't need this, like the other person's system. I've created an own that works for me, is all I'm saying. And I've always lived well below my means. I mean, this is the first new truck I had. It's 3 years old now. I lived in the apartments we bought, a 20-plex. I lived there for 4 years and got to hang out with all the techs while they were training. And I was just delayed gratification. I would say, listen, I don't owe myself anything right now while I'm building the business until we plant a seed and water it so much that it's putting out so much fruit, I can take a little bit of the fruit.
Let me introduce my good friend Tommy Mello here. What's up, brother?
What's going on?
Yeah, this is a great story you're going to hear. Then Dean Jackson, I'm going to have you say a few words, and then me and Tommy are going to talk about all kinds of cool stuff. So for those of you that have never heard of Tommy, he started A1 Garage with $50,000 in business debt, which is $20,000 more than me. I started with like $30,000 in debt. Well, actually, I went $30,000 in debt, but that was way back in the early 90s. And today, he's about to cross the 200 million mark in revenue with over 650 employees in 19 states. As he grows his business, he's done everything from sales to marketing to hiring. His experience running one of the top garage door companies in Arizona, probably the world, provided him with many of the answers that up-and-coming business owners need to help them succeed. Tommy's advice has been regularly featured in top publications like Inc. magazine and Forbes, and he's also the host of the weekly podcast Home Service Expert, where he interviews top entrepreneurs in the industry to find out what they made them world-class and what they do. If you like what it is we talk about, he has a brand new book called Elevate, Tommy Mello, MELLO, and we'll put a link where you can order this book on Amazon, and I think he said the audio will be ready in like
Audible 2 weeks.
2 weeks, cool. So, so you're running one hell of a business, and before I start, Dean Jackson, what should you say about Tommy that I have not yet mentioned?
I'm excited to see you again, Tommy. You know what I was excited about with this? I think the greatest thing is that you're running a business that can't be digitized. You can't digitize a garage door. And it's just proof that everybody's, all the rage right now is AI and virtual reality and all these things. And you've built this amazing business on one of the most practical things that you could imagine, somebody's garage door. And you look around you and everybody has them. And I love what you say about that. Your garage is like your smile of your house.
Smile of your home.
The smile of your home. It's so, it's such a great thing. Everybody's got one.
Well, if the garage is like the smile of the home, would the driveway be like the tongue, or how would you describe it?
Yeah, maybe the tongue and the shutters are your jewelry. I don't know.
So, all right. So this is great. Well, here's what I want to share with everyone. So, not only you run into business you did over $200 million in sales this year, but you're netting, like you netted over $50 million last year, and I think it was right.
Yeah, it's right near there. We did 22% last month. This month we'll do 24%. I think we'll get to 30% Q3, and we're buying a lot of companies. We just closed the biggest deal we've closed last week. And we're buying companies, we're still growing organically, and the team is just building. It's crazy what's going on in the company.
Yeah, which is awesome. And I've spoken at 2 of Tommy's events. He's got a big one coming up in November, which we can put a link or tell people how to register for that later if they want to. It's for service businesses. And here's what I want to share, though, with everyone that has either been listening to I Love Marketing, because those of you that are here live, this is great. We're also going to put this up as a podcast, and we're also going to put it up as a video on YouTube and whatnot. But Tommy, back in 2011 approximately, would come to the I Love Marketing meetup groups that we held here live in this room when you were kind of starting out, and you would kind of sit in the back, and
you just tell stories and talk a lot about piranha marketing and some of the things, but I just took what you said with what you built in the 90s and applied a lot of that, hence Garage Door Freedom, the networking group.
Right.
And the company that we bought that was massive was part of my group. And they did everything the same as we do. They had the same KPIs. They had the same operating system, the CRM. They literally were like a clone of us, just a smaller version. So the guy goes, listen, my dad wants $20 million for the company. I was like, if you do what I say, in 6 months you'll be at 20. We could give you $20 million, and they did everything. We gave them everything they wanted, and they rolled equity into the new company, which is ours.
Wow. Okay, awesome. Well, so what I want to start with then is really some just foundational, fundamental things of how the hell do you build and grow a company? Because not only have you done it to yourself, but you're now teaching other people how to do this. You're going, and what I love is because I started out in service businesses. I mean, I've helped tens of thousands of them, as have you, and that's what you're kind of doing. And so, to Dean's comment, how have you used technology in your company today, and where is it just simply providing great customer service, showing up in the home, doing all these things? I'd love to have you speak to those.
So, Service Titan is the leading CRM in home service. And we have 6,000, actually 7,000 I'll call tracking numbers. So every marketing campaign, and you have a few of them here, from Google PPC to LSA to our GMB to our organic site, every single Valpak zone, a zone is 10,000, has a unique number for attribution.
Yeah.
I've got more KPIs on the business. I've got a scorecard for every employee. We've got the numbers now. I know where every guy's at. I know how to do faster routing. We dispatch for dollars. But it's so important to train. We double down on training every day. I got guys traveling the country. We call it polishing. We've got a market acceleration technician training where we got 6 guys that'll fly out and work with each team. We're in 40 markets now. So a lot of it, the numbers tells us what we need to train, but we double down on training all the time.
Right.
Like, we're constantly training. I always tell people I did 2-a-days in football, 5 days a week to play one game. But for some reason in business, we say, you train for 2 weeks and you're good to go for the rest of your life. That'll be the last you hear of us. There's no one-on-ones. We got a daily morning mojo call. Mm-hmm. We've got 2 one-on-ones each month. We've got a Thursday morning meeting that goes an hour and a half called Bring the Fire. We've got the teams traveling out. We got guys coming back to Phoenix every week to retrain and polish. And I think the training is where we win, is because we focus a lot on eye contact, tonality. Body language is 55%, tonality is 38%, 7% is the words we use, so we focus a lot on all 3 of those. But most importantly is just smiling more and being excited and enjoy your job and stop hating Mondays, and getting the right canvas and recruiting the right people that are willing to learn and want more for their lives and want to elevate, buy a house, put their kids in private school, if they choose to, renew their vows in Hawaii in 10 years.
Yeah.
Figuring out their why. Instead of saying, you got to hit your KPIs, you're going to be on a performance improvement plan, we say things like, you told us you wanted to buy a house by November. You told us you were going to take your kids to Disney World. This is what needs to happen to make that happen. And you told me you want us to hold you accountable. So it's an easy conversation. Remember why you're doing this. And if they don't have a real reason, you got to help them peel that onion back to find the reason.
What are your thoughts on people that have desires and goals and are intrinsically motivated or aspirational versus people that just don't show up? They don't live into the opportunity or the suggestions or the advice that you're providing. I mean, the bigger question is, when do you give up on someone? Or do you never give up on someone?
Well, if they got a will, I'll find a way. And they've got to have goals, better your best. If you're better than last week, if you really want it, we'll help you get there. But there's certain people in the room, they'll sit at the back of the room and they hope they're not last. They're like, yes, I'm not the worst. There's other guys in the front that say, I need to be number one. It's one of our core values, is aspire to be number one. So they're out there learning. And I say, if you're not learning outside of what we teach, and you're not trying to better your, read more books, listen to podcasts. We are always putting podcasts to listen to. Some guys are like, dude, I just listened to that podcast. It changed my life. And some other people are like, nope, I just kind of floating through life, waiting for life to happen to me, waiting for that lucky chance, scratching off that lottery, hoping one day that luck finds me. Mm-hmm. And that's just never really, those are the guys that I'm like, and gals, that I'm like, do you want more? Because let's write down your goals. And let's think a little bit bigger, not just one house. Let's think about 5 houses. I got a guy with 4 rentals in his house. Mm-hmm. And he's 40 years old. I got a guy that's 23 and a half, because when you're in your 20s, you still count in halves. So he's 23 and a half, and he's like, he bought his house. He paid 30% down. He bought his dream car. He's been with us 2 years, and he goes, my goal is to pay the house off before I'm 25. And he's just that mindset, and he's like, listen, I'm going to continue to be better. I'm going to continue to ride myself, and I'm going to continue to hang out with the best. And sometimes the best aren't within our industry. Right. Sometimes it's calling an HVAC guy, having him come in, talk about what's working with financing and using other people's money. One of the things we say is, did you want to use your money today, or did you want to use our money? Then we just smile. And these things we focus on repeating. You look uncomfortable when you say that. Smile more. Have fun. You know, every time I'm with a customer, stand up real quick. So if I'm selling you a part,
Yeah.
I'm just going to say, hey, Joe, let me show you this part.
Yeah.
I'm never going to go, hey, Joe.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, you don't want to be intimidated.
Yeah, these little things that just make a huge difference that we practice over and over with the body language. And if it's a woman, usually I'll come to her like this, or I'll man up and square up with a guy a little bit differently. And we always get both parties on the phone. My husband's at work, my wife's at work. Okay, is there a chance we could give her a quick call? Then we give a compliment. Hey, listen, you got a beautiful home. Your wife is absolutely amazing. She just offered me iced tea. I'm so excited that we get to serve you today. And just have fun. And we say mellow the customer. It's one of our 5 green lights is mellow the customer. What that means is, you know, I can work anywhere I want in the country, in the world with a garage door. I chose A1 because they're here for my family. They've been here good times and bad. And they showed up, and I trust them with my family. Here's my kids. You should trust them too. Yeah. So they got to believe in the company, then they got to believe in you. And that's just putting booties on when you walk in, giving compliments. Never say this is the cheapest option. We say this is the most economical. But I go back to getting the right canvas. I don't hire people from inside the trades very often. I hire a lot of busboys, a lot of bartenders, a lot of Amazon delivery guys. Like, we just find people that smile and enjoy what they do, and then teach them our trade. Gotcha. So many people are waiting for, hey, if I got that perfect guy at that other company, he'll come build it for me. And a lot of times the people that are great at another company won't be great at ours.
Yeah, because they're bringing over the culture and the learned.
Oh yeah. It's all about money. Money is a KPI that we track in my bank account now. We're pretty well, you know, the company's doing great, I'm doing pretty great. So now money's just like, how are we doing with money? But Simon Sinek, what is it, the game, the infinite game of just, we're not here for just this year or next year. We're here for long term. So what's this company going to be? It's going to be the largest home service company in the world. And I think we could take the same concepts, they're exact same, it's just a different widget, whether it's carpet or whether it's roofing or gutters. And right now, the highest multiple that I've ever seen, other than software, which is coming down rapidly, is home service. And that's why all the PE groups, private equity, venture capitalists, all the money's rushing into home service. Yeah. Like crazy. The multiples are insane.
Well, why? Because there's just a complete lack of people getting training in it, and it's so needed for the infrastructure that's pretty much dissolving in so many parts of the world with not enough people to do it, or what?
There's a lack of people doing it because nobody grows up and says, I want to be a garage door guy. You got to work with your hands. Our guys love what they do, except when it's 120 out or 0 degrees in Detroit or Wisconsin. But I think the real deal, what brought so much value, is they seen a lot of the equity groups and the private money coming in. They said these guys could actually run really sophisticated businesses. And it's essential. During COVID, hotels, nail salons, movie theaters, everything fell apart. And that's when the multiples started to go up. It was like, whoa, everybody's going to need a plumber. You don't know what to do when your stuff's flooding and the hot water heaters bursts and all into the home. So what are you going to do if your roof's leaking? Are you going to just say, listen, kids, just deal with the leaks when you're sleeping? Or are you going to say, listen, we need to get this done? And then you got the home as equity. You got the home to back up if you need to get a loan. They could put a lien on the house. Whereas in this day of software with AI, everything else, I mean, we're applying some AI and experimenting with it. But overall, it goes back to the core principles. Put an ad out there, get the phone to ring, book the call, get a conversion. Average ticket needs to be where it needs to be. We don't sell things people don't need. I don't sell anything people need. I sell things people want. Right. And people are like, I don't sell things people don't need. I'm like, I don't need a new iPhone. Yeah. I didn't need this house. I don't need a new car. I sell things people are like, wow, that storage, that bottom rubber that keeps all the bugs out. Yeah, I want that. That'll make sense for me.
Yeah, no, totally. Well, so let's back up to when you were the first month of your business, when you first started. What year was that? Because certainly I don't know if you were thinking about exiting companies and buying up different companies and all the stuff you've learned today.
Not at all.
Like what year was that when you first started?
2006.
How old were you?
22.
And let's talk about what were you doing wrong, what were you doing right because there was something that you learned, something you discovered, a behavior you applied, a mindset that you had, a bunch of things that I think would be really helpful for everyone watching and listening to understand how you went from where you were to where you are now.
Well, I was the guy that did everything. I took the phone calls. I'd walk out of movie theaters. I ran all the jobs. I did all the inventory. I hired my first employee. I had to be the HR guy if something went wrong, but there wasn't a whole lot of HR back then because it was just 1, 2, 3 people. And the mindset was, I'm the best one to do everything. No one's going to try as hard as me. And the other mentality was, I didn't have enough money. A lot of people, they've got to be the employee for a long time because they don't have the money to invest, so they got to do everything.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was. I was the whole chief cook, bottle washer, that whole thing. I mean, I remember, cleaning carpets back, and I started my carpet cleaning business in 1990, and there was no internet back then. So when I had to drive somewhere, there was no GPS. It was Thomas guides with maps, and I would drive, and it's so funny how people today, they can't even navigate 5 miles down the road to get to a restaurant without something, it's so hysterical, and I'm glad I grew up in that time because I had to figure out how to successfully sell something nobody wants to buy, and in a lot of ways you're kind of in the same boat. There's necessity, but people don't hope that they need a new garage or hope that the garage breaks or that the cat pisses in the corner or the boss is coming over for dinner. There's all these reasons that cause people to take a look at stuff, but I equate my carpet cleaning business like going to the DMV. It's the necessary evil that comes with driving. You got to go get a DMV for people that are not in the United States. It's the Department of Motor Vehicles, one of the many bureaucratic organizations that are incredibly inefficient and
I agree. In the post office.
Yeah, there's so many. But so you got into this non-sexy, non-glamorous business, as did I, but non-sexy, non-glamorous is from the outside. I mean, I've met some of the greatest people on the planet that do work that from the outside people would not really see as high status or high esteem, but some of the most awesome humans that really enjoy their work. So when you're looking at the first 30 days, what do you wish you knew then that you know now that you could share as a suggestion, advice, insight to the people watching? Because I think what you're doing now is you're helping people not have to go through the pain and the angst that both of us went through when we were starting our businesses. The same reason I started teaching carpet and upholstery cleaners. I was like, what is the hell that I went through that if I would have known that, I would have been able to shorten the pain curve?
So there's a few core things. Number one is have a plan, have a budget, have goals, not just yearly, quarterly, monthly, but this week and today. Have a business plan, understand your marketing. The numbers matter. And I'd say if I had a CFO or even a really, really high-end bookkeeper, I would have made a lot better decisions. And I think the biggest mistake is that you start making money. Because you're working your butt off, you're doing every job, you're bound to make 6 figures. Number one is how much is the business making versus you? Because you're allowed to pay yourself 6 figures and the business should still make 10, 15, 20%. Bottom line, EBITDA. The next thing is live within your means. You owe it to invest back in the thing that's making you the most money. A lot of people say, I worked my butt off for the last 5 years. We deserve a Harley. We deserve that second house. We deserve. Their way of living goes up exactly as the business is going up. So they can't hire that great CFO. They can't hire a great COO. They can't hire someone doing their numbers in the background, a great CMO doing the marketing, because they can't afford to. So they say, I got to continue to do it myself because we live this lifestyle now. And sometimes it's the husband, sometimes it's the wife, sometimes it's both of them where they're going on these vacations and they can never reinvest in the thing that brought them the money. Because their lifestyle is changing with the business. And I've always lived well below my means. I mean, this is the first new truck I had. It's 3 years old now. I lived in the apartments. We bought a 20-plex. I lived there for 4 years and got to hang out with all the techs while they were training. And I was just delayed gratification. I would say, listen, I don't owe myself anything right now while I'm building the business until we plant a seed and water it so much that it's putting out so much fruit, I could take a little bit of the fruit. But it takes nurturing and it takes reinvestment into that to grow till it turns into a machine.
I think that's a really important point. So there's a lot of people that not only never delay gratification, but they they live in a way that is not at all conducive to ever creating wealth. What is the difference between making money and managing money from your perspective?
Well, the real way to make money is your revenue and profit got to go above your spending. And you got to have a budget. We work on people's personal budget all the time. I had a girl come up to me, a dispatcher. She said, I want you to sit down. She says, I'm not making enough to cover my bills. And that's another thing real quick is if you want to get a raise from me, we'll talk about what's important to me, and I'll pay you an unlimited supply of money. Let's work on if I do this. Don't ask for a raise because you think you deserve more. Say what's important to you. And if I'm able to get you 10 self-generated leads a week and recruit you 2 people, can you give me an extra 60 grand a year? All day long. And so let's work on both winning. That's the reason the book Elevate is build a business where everybody wins. My suppliers got to win. The clients have to win. More importantly, I think my internal clients have to win, the employees. And when they're winning, they recruit more. They'll pick up an extra weekend shift. They'll help train another person. And it's this place where everybody wants to work because right now, not a lot of people want to go to work. And so I don't go to the unemployment line to pick them up most of the time.
Right.
I get them to change their job they're at now.
Yeah.
And I know you asked a certain question, but managing money is difficult. I can make as much money. I've always been able to make a lot of money. I can make a lot of money. I just didn't know how to keep it.
Right.
And when I didn't show up to work, we wouldn't make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now I can go. I've been on 113 trips in the last 383 days. So I've been living on a plane. I've been more outside of Phoenix than I've been here.
Wow.
And I'm doing that as an investment into myself. I'm doing that because I'm on a lot of stages. I'm writing more books. I just passed my millionth download for Home Service Expert. And more importantly than the business setting goals and making millions and millions, the business is worth $1 billion right now. It'll be worth 2.2 at the end of 2025. That's how calculated we are. But it's more important when somebody says, dude, I just bought a house and I'm able to make it to my daughter's soccer practice. I don't care what record in the world we hit. I had a day we hit the best revenue ever 2 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. The guy called me and said, I just put my down payment on my house and I'm finally building a life that I could be a better father and a better husband and a better son to my parents. And I guarantee you that was more special to me than every record in the world because we're helping to build people up. And that's what we're about is like, you can make it on your own. You're going to accomplish your dreams, your goals, whatever you want out of life, and raise really great children to come into this world and show up for them, show up to their soccer practice, be there for their symphonies. And I think that a lot of people say, what's in it for me? When you wrote that book, I was like, I've been saying this for years. Go into an opportunity, what's in it for them. And what I like about your book is there's certain people that pull the life out of you. Sometimes it's even in your marriage. But you got to get away from those people that just suck the life out of you. And we're teaching these things. I have a gal that works for me. She's like, have you ever heard of what's in it for them? I go, I'm actually on a podcast with her. I talked to her on Friday. Yeah. She's like, I'm going through it. And, we share a lot of stuff. She actually picked it up, and I didn't realize, I don't know if it was from me or not because I posted about it. I bought a lot of copies. You sent me some copies, and it's a great book. But she's like, I just got this person that's breathing the life out of me, and I work with them. I'm like, we got to get you out of that situation.
Right. No, totally. I mean, like the not to-do list is more important than the to-do list, and the not to-do person or the not to-do half people, the hard, annoying, lame, and frustrating people, need to be pruned so you are left with more easy, lucrative, and fun people. I want to come back to something you said about people, and I want to kind of have you break down your rules of engagement with you and how do you either attract or train people to work with you, because you said something really important. When someone that I've hired, especially very early on, comes to me like, I need to make more money, I want to make more money, and it's and who doesn't? No matter how, I've never been in a room of millionaires and asked, how many of you don't need to make any more money? No one raises their hand. Everyone perceives they need to make more money. So this is just a human desire. But when someone comes to me that works for me and says, I need to make more money, attached to that is nothing about, well, I need to make more money in order to pay you more money. What's in it for, in this particular case, me? They need to think what's in it for them, right? And so if they're asking, I just need to make more money, then they're just thinking about themselves. They're not, and what I think is so annoying to most business owners is that so many people that work for a company come to seminars. Everybody does the arithmetic. Nobody does the subtraction. They just look at the amount of money that's coming in from a job, and they think that like all goes to the business owner. They don't realize insurance and payroll and buildings and equipment and a million other things that cost money. And so when you said if someone, you'll pay people money all day long if they attach it to you, I'm often surprised when we employ people where, unless you're a jerk, unless you're a total asshole, and there are those bosses, the number one job of your team not only is to service the customers, but keep the person happy who's actually paying you. Not happy like a smile on their face by flattering them, happy by making sure the business is profitable, making sure the business is functional, making sure it works. So in my company, there's unlimited amounts of money to be made for anyone that helps create customers. You know, Peter Drucker said the primary purpose of business is to create customers. Marketing and innovation produce results. All other business functions are cost. And so there's people that make money, there's people that save money, and if people don't make you money or save you any money, if they at least make your life easier so you can go out and do the things where you're most skilled at, you will reward those people.
Yeah, absolutely.
So my question to you is, is it built in? Is it factory equipped, or do you have a way that you instill that in people, or some people have it and others don't? Because I honestly don't know. I mean, you know, there's this. I have a guy who works for me named JR that says, for those that get it, no explanation is needed. For those that don't, no explanation will do. And so, you know, some people kind of get it and other people don't. But I'm wondering, because I think for people watching this right now, if they could attract people who showed up and they're like, first off, how do we make this person's life easier, better, more profitable? How do we focus on the ball? How do we identify what that person wants, hear what the person says, and just do it? It would be game changing. And I'm saying this for myself too, because I'm genuinely interested if how you go about instilling that.
So almost every employee, which are my internal clients at work, have a scorecard. And we always take the mean and we show them, if you want to you go to calc.a1garagetools.com as a technician, you want to make $200,000, we can reverse engineer your KPIs into do that. You need to know what needs to happen today. And I'll give you all the help because I'll give you a guy that's hitting that KPI. And it isn't about we're going to sell the socks off of grandma. It's about we're going to fix the things correctly that are worn out. And we go to like this with every single opportunity and say, listen, we don't just give you one way to make money. If you recruit somebody, you get $1,500. Self-generated leads get 7% of the ticket. I will show you guys how to be great marketers. Your wife goes to a B&I meeting already because she's a realtor. Let's talk about how to get her to sell some garage doors. I'll pay for anybody's B&I meeting. We'll talk about social media. We'll talk about...
And that's Business Networking International.
Yeah, it's simple.
Knows what, B&I.
Here's the deal. We were all spoiled the last 3 years. If you didn't make money, especially in home service the last 3 years, you shouldn't be an employer, period. So we were spoiled. We were really spoiled. So everybody's going, they're blaming it on the marketing. And I tell people there's 3 ways to make money other than cutting costs. Get more customers, keep your customers coming back more frequently, or charge more to your current customers.
Right.
So we're at 28,000 service agreements in the last year. So that's frequency. Every year we go out, we lubricate, adjust, tighten everything on the door. We do 151-point tune-up. How are we going to raise the ticket? Well, we're going into selling storage now. We're going to go into front doors. We're going to go into the flooring, polyaspartus or epoxy.
Yeah.
How do we get more clients? Lead sources, but we focus on when a lead came in, having attribution to understand where the leads are coming in. We're at a 90% booking rate. No one that I know in home service is at a 90%. We've got a whole rehash team for on-book jobs. We have a Spanish-speaking sector of the business. We're going bonkers in about 3 months on all the Spanish campaigns. Pay for performance, all the stations, all the newsletters in Spanish. We're building the whole website in Spanish. And then we're sending links. We're giving backlinks to rank. And then we're putting, Hispanic people in those pictures because people like to do business. 40% of Arizona speak Spanish as a first language. Yeah. I want to do business with who I can communicate with the best.
Yeah.
So these are all things. I'm not blaming marketing. I'm going, listen, we could be better. We could book more calls. We could get more conversion rates. We look at, one of the biggest things I do is say, listen, Joe, we're fixing your door right now. We've already got a lot of it fixed. There's still a few things, but have you ever thought about a new door? Let me just show you. 40% of your curb appeal. Remodel Magazine came out 6 years in a row. This year it said 102.7% return on investment. Means that if you spend the money today, you're actually going to get it back in equity when you sell the home. And when you educate people, you're like, listen, I never really thought about that, but actually that really looks good. And these are the little things that I think are so important. When I'm dealing with a person that wants to make more money, I got 10 ways. If you sell a service agreement, you get $1 a month. You sell 20 a month, 20 a week, that's $80 a month. You do that for a few years, you're bringing in thousands a month. We call that mailbox money.
Right.
And there's so many ways to make money at the business. And I'm just continuing to find more sources. The old saying is, what happens if I train them and they leave? And my reaction to that is, what if I train them and they stay?
Right, right.
And now I got really great people that show up. And there's going on over 700 of us. Now we're in 23 states. And we're picking the markets. And we are working with PE right now. And we had a great meeting yesterday. And they said, how are you going to take market share? How are you going to own 15 to 20% of the market? And that's not an easy task. And there comes a point of diminishing returns where you're spending more than you could for a lead to get the ROI you want. But then there's years where I say, we're not going to make anything in this market. We're going to make a negative 2% because that's long term, but we're going to take market share.
Right.
So it's long-term thinking, but I think with employees, you just got to understand, set the expectations up front, have a manual, have an SOP, have a scorecard, make sure they understand it, can read it back to you. People always say on these podcasts and different webinars, they're like, I'll outwork you all day long. I'm like, you could outwork me, but I'm going to out-delegate you because I hire for my weaknesses. I don't care who's going to outwork me. I work nights, I work weekends, I work holidays, but at the end of the day, I'm not keeping track of my hours. I'm focusing on getting the right executive assistants. I have two. I'm hiring a personal assistant. I'm buying back my time. And I hired one of the best trainers. I got a new nutritionist starting. I got the people cooking my meals. Actually, the gal you introduced.
Okay, good.
So we're meeting her this week. Ultimately, I'm like, where are my weaknesses? I know what my strengths are. I'm going to focus on those. I don't want to be well-rounded.
Yeah.
I don't care about well-rounded. I'm not going to ever be a CFO. I'm never going to love a pivot table and be like, ooh, look at this. Look at this balance sheet item. I know how to read it. But
I don't know who's mumbling in the background there. Was that a question or someone just excited? Okay. Well, I love what you just said about I will out-delegate you, because there are a shit ton of people that follow these
gurus.
Most of them are high-strung, super ADD, yelling, screaming, barking, haven't dealt with their childhood traumas.
100%.
They're ranting and raving. I often
like, I'll outwork anybody. It's like, why? You're a one-man soldier. You can have people around you, but you'll never train anybody to do as good as you. I hope that everybody around me becomes better than me. And people say, what happens if they do leave? And I say, I hope they were just a better person by knowing me, but I cut you off. I'm sorry.
No. It's great. The one person, you need an army of people that are supporters. And so with the sheer amount of people that your company is servicing, when you in the beginning, I think the perfectionistic attitude, you want to do everything right, you don't want to have anyone complain, you want everyone to be happy. Inevitably, there is no way for you to have 28,000 jobs that are delivered and not have something go wrong. Either a technician messes up, you have an unreasonable customer, acts of God, weather, all kinds of things, supply problems. How do you handle when things go wrong?
Things go wrong all the time, and I put in layers just like the military. I don't take on everything. There's layers that come to me. In general, they know to protect me from anything bad because I focus, I'm very happy. I'm more of a leader that I try to spread the good word, the gospel. I'm constantly applauding team members. I've got a whole thing, a1winner.com, where you go and I'll send a video to different people throughout the day of just to let you know I love you, I'm proud of you. I don't get as much chance to see you as much as I used to. So they protect me from the negative because I don't like hearing the negative, so they know, listen, let's not even tell Tommy, let's just fix it. But really what you focus on is I created an eight-step process in 2010 that works every single time for my technicians. And we created 5 green lights before you sell a garage door. Both decision makers know they're pre-financed. They've got options. We know that they mellowed the customer. We've got all these systems in place, and the systems are not forever. They get tweaked over time with technology. And we embrace technology. I got a dual camera system in every vehicle. I know when there's a tire that has an issue. I know when it needs a tune-up. It's automatically alert. I know when guys need to switch vans because one guy's putting more miles on a van than another guy. I know the perfect time to trade them in to get the highest value ROI on the vehicle. All these systems, we're I tell everybody we're going to change who we are. We're the best we've ever been, but the worst we'll ever be. Because tomorrow we're going to be a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
And just know, I tell everybody in my orientation, I do a 3.5 hour orientation each month. I say, guys, what you're coming into, it won't feel the same in 3 months. It'll be the same culture. We're going to show up for you. We're going to smile a lot. We're going to celebrate. We're going to break bread with each other. But just know, don't get comfortable with what today is, because it won't be the same in 3 months. And I think that's the hardest thing, is people have to be willing to adapt. And that's the culture we built.
Yeah.
And if you don't plan on your culture will get built without a plan. And that's the worst thing you could have.
And if that happens and someone needs to reinvent their culture, any recommendations?
Yeah, I think the main thing is explaining that there's SOPs, and a lot of times what the owner says is these people aren't good. They'll never work as hard as me. Well, that mentality of just I'm the best, I go in and I say, listen, I'm going to train you to be better than me. I hope you're better than me. And you should praise just as much as you criticize, and never criticize in public. And just spend time with people, quality time. We went skydiving 3 weeks ago with 15 of the technicians. We got a Pinnacle Club. We brought, I don't know, about 50 of us, technicians, wives, and other important key players in the company. We went on a really nice, we went out to the park. We brought food, we had volleyball.
At the skydiving adventure.
That was a different time.
How many people out of the 50 jumped out of the plane?
Only 12, and there was a guy that didn't show up, and they said, "You want to go?" I'm like, "Not really, but I'll go because there's."
And you went?
I went.
Okay, good. Because I've jumped out of planes twice. Scared the hell out of me. Yeah,
it's scary.
I'm afraid of heights, and it was one of these things to try to get over my fear. But I was just curious. So, like, if you got every one of the people to go,
listen, there was another 20 that said they want to go. I said, "Bring it on!" And right now, in that 1 week before that, we went to a baseball game. We went to Topgolf, and every market, Bree, her job is to set up these events all the time. Because if I get to know you, and your kids, and your dogs, and your significant other, you build relationships outside of work. I'll tell you, the trick of keeping a business where people don't leave all the time is, there's a stat, it's like 90% of people will not leave a company because they have a best friend within the company. They don't make that best friend at work, they make it outside of work.
Right.
So having those outside activities and letting them get to know each other, and not always make it, hey guys, what the hell happened today? Like, we never ever get up at a meeting. We talk about the great things going on in the business. We had the Mojo call every morning. We don't ever say, you guys really suck at the bottom. We're like, listen, tell me the mindset of how you had your best day ever in the company's history since you've been here. What mental breakthrough did you have? What ceiling did you have to break through? And a guy, I don't know, a year ago, he's like, dude, I started wearing work boots instead of tennis shoes. You got to wear an A1 shirt, but you can wear shorts. It's 110 degrees out. So a guy says, I started wearing work boots, and people started thinking I'm a worker. Instead of like, I guess they used to think I was a salesman or something. And the next week, every guy had work boots on. And I was like, whatever works. But it's these little things to let them tell you. I don't tell guys what to do. I let the winners that are making these breakthroughs talk about what's working for them.
Yeah, that's good. So we have a question here from Vincent. So what's your question, Vincent?
Hey, can you hear me? Sorry about that.
Yeah, we can hear you.
All right, perfect. Thanks. Tommy, appreciate all the insights here. You mentioned Dan Antonella. I just want to give him a quick plug because he's awesome and he does great work. But I'm in mid-30s. I appreciate a lot of the insights you've provided. I'm an attorney, actually, but I see a lot of the, what we were talking about pertains to the legal profession 100%. But interested if you have any recommendations for yourself, I guess, looking back when you were that age.
35 was 5 years ago.
Are you 40 yet?
I've just turned 40 in March.
Yeah.
I think even throughout my 30s, I think it was, I wasn't good at budgeting. And I'd say I've really taken the time to whiteboard and become a master whiteboarder at systems and figuring out what I'm not good at and putting together the right person I'm looking for and what the scorecard is. So many times, Al Levy taught me this, is he goes, you hire a person and then you build a box around them. Now I build the perfect box and find the person to fit into the box. And it sounds bad, I don't put people in a box, but whatever that SOP and what they're doing is.
Your business model.
The business model box. Yeah. And I would just say, I'm not perfect, I'm not married, I don't have any kids. That's a goal of mine. But as far as what I do in business is I'm off balance on purpose. It's a book by Dan Thurman. And when you're working all the time, you got to have a plan for when you might not be as close to your kids, or you might not be praying or meditating. A lot of people say, I just want balance. I want balance. I'm comfortable being unbalanced. And throughout my 30s, to build something that was really special, that I could make a lot of people millionaires, and I could give back to a lot of people, I had to be off balance. And so many people say, listen, man, how do you do it? And I'm like, listen, you can't go on over 100 trips in less than a year and stay perfectly and work out perfectly every day. And one other thing I would say, because you're a lawyer, is hopefully you have the money, start buying back your time. Unless you love mowing the lawn, unless you love cooking, unless you love getting on the phone and working out contracts with home repairs that you need at your house, or you love scheduling your own flights. I don't do any of that stuff. And I'm starting to delegate way more than I ever thought possible, and my goal is to 10x how much I delegate. And there's an art of delegation that I bet you make 2 or 3 important decisions in a day. The rest of the things you can all delegate out. And it's really hard. I just be careful on what you consider balance, because people just say, I want to make more money and I want to be happy. But that doesn't have anything to do with mindset of abundance. It doesn't mean to be thankful. And I'm just comfortable. I know I can't work out and do sit-ups 8 times a day and pray 10 times a day and make it, I don't have kids, but make it to the kids' games, and also be the best boss, and also put 12 hours in a day. And also, it's just, a lot of people have these weird goals. I just want balance. It's just, you will, but it's going to be a lot less work, and there's going to be a time for that. But you got to, people say, how did you do this? And it's unbelievable what people think they could do in 1 year and underestimate what they could do in 5. So play the long game. And a lot of people say, I just want to become an influencer, and I want more, and I want it to happen by next year, and I got this big goal. I know we're at 2 million. I know I could be at 10 million. It took you 10 years to get to 2 million. And yes, there are years you could double, but really have realistic expectations that are numbered, and don't give yourself this. I always shoot for the moon, but I have a good goal. We call them Tommy goals. We have good, better, best, and and then we have the Tommy goal that's really unobtainable. Every once in a while, we'll hit the Tommy goal.
Hey, I hope you're enjoying this video, and I want to let you know that I have a new book that's come out, and if you'd like to get it absolutely free, there's a link below in the description, or you can wait till the end of this video, or you can simply go to joesfreebook.com and you can get a copy there.
Yeah. Well, does that answer your question, Vincent?
100%. Thank you, Joe. Thank you, Tommy.
Yeah,
Thanks, Vincent.
And we'll ask, Brent has a question on Zoom that was just popped up here. Well, before we ask this, so I might have you pop it up here in a minute. I want to speak to something you just talked about, buying back your time. That is, I understand what you mean by it. I'd love for you to elaborate a little more, because I think that, for instance, let me just share this quick story. So I've spent 6 weeks of my life on Necker Island, having breakfast, lunch, and dinner with Richard Branson during most of those days. I've spent hours interviewing Richard, conducting brainstorm sessions on Necker Island. Richard has a very hard time explaining what the hell he does. He's like this intuitive entrepreneur. And so people can watch a couple of my interviews with him online if they want to just type in my name and Richard Branson. The best conversation I had with him, though, is me and him in the morning one day. I don't know how many years ago this was. It was a long time ago. And I said to him, Richard, when's the last time you did your laundry? And he's like, kind of looks up, he's like, I've never done my laundry. And I'm like, what do you mean you never did your laundry? What about when you were a kid? He's like, well, my mom did my laundry. And I'm like, okay, well, when's the last time you were in a grocery store? He kind of looks up, he's like, I don't think I've ever been in a grocery store. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like that, how is that even possible? What about when you were, with the Sex Pistols, we were buying beer for Sid Vicious and Johnny Rotten? He's like, I don't think I've ever been in a grocery store. And then he says, like, Joe, he goes, you hire people to do that stuff. He goes, if you make one good hire, it could save you thousands of hours in your life. Now, first off, I don't believe the guy's never been in a grocery store. Maybe laundry, because I knew his mom before she passed away. But, the point is delegation, right? And so today, I shot a video of me doing laundry. And part of it was a kind of a social experiment. I wanted to actually... Did you see that video? If anyone wants to watch it, it's
topless video of you doing laundry.
exactly. So it was all done. It was all done on purpose. And I was sitting there folding some laundry. It's on Twitter. So if anyone wants to go and look at my Twitter page, Joe Polish, or Instagram, which is Joe Polish, or Facebook, which is Joe Polish, I literally posted the video there because I just wanted to see what the comments would be. And I did it right before we came down here. And part of it, though, is, you know, there is a lot of stuff that you can buy back your time. And the whole concept of buying back your time is really, I think, the defining factor of when you go from amateur to pro. Right, there's not everything. I mean, you know, if there's certain things you like and it works, and until you have the box set up so it's not a total mess, because a delegation is when you can completely hand it off and it doesn't fall apart. Right, there's abdication, then there's delegation. So the whole buy back your time, you know, explain what that actually means. I mean, I think most people get it, but it's so damn important, and I think it's one of the reasons why you have been able to leverage yourself and have built what it is you have, because you just simply understand that.
Well, I'm in the fetal stages. Like, you've been to the house. Mm-hmm. It's an undertaking.
Oh yeah.
So
big ass house.
I literally have 5 whiteboards, front and back, so 10. And I spent 3 hours the other night whiteboarding the new cleaning lady we're going to bring in, and I'm building maps of the house and putting different color markers of what needs to be mopped, and I'm building SOPs, how I like my laundry, when I get the dry cleaning, what's important to me about dry cleaning, what I want in the shower. This sounds crazy, do I want a piece of floss out? What kind of floss do I like? It sounds pretentious, it might sound condescending or cocky, but these are the little things I want. What's important to me for my truck? How much gas? When do I want my gas filled? Like, you take a look at everything and you write down everything you do for a week, the tiniest little things, the most minuscule of things, and you say, how can I put this in a system to get someone else to do it the way I enjoy it? And I think if you really documented, you got an old-fashioned scheduler that had every hour, and the hours were big, and you wrote down everything, and then you highlighted simple things by hiring a $20 an hour person and saying, these are all the things. And then here's what I'm going to do. When I book my next ticket, I'm going to build a Loom video or record it on Zoom, and I'm going to say out loud what I'm doing. I'm going to say, listen, I'm traveling to Baltimore. I prefer this flight. I prefer this time. Here's my TSA pre-check number. If I can't do this, I'll fly on Southwest if it's less than an hour and it can get me there faster. And you're talking out loud and you're building your training videos for someone, because here's what will happen if you don't set this up correctly. No one will do it up to your expectation. You're gonna go, I'll just do it myself. This is BS. And you gotta step back and say, I'm gonna spend the time training other people, and then I'm gonna get back tenfold time. So anything I do, I'm thinking about a system to make it more efficient. Mm-hmm. And I'm going, okay, who can I hire? What can I do? And I always know there's gonna be a little bit of complication. So I gotta have someone that asks great questions and will repeat after me exactly what I expect. And then I gotta have I call it my data integrity teams, mm-hmm. to make sure the systems are being followed exactly. So you need checks and balances for each system you create, and it's as small as setting up the bathroom. I wear the same shirt almost every day. Mm-hmm. It's the same shirt because I don't want it to think about the shirt. Setting up systems in a way that's repeatable. And I just think, if you look at everything you do, whether that's cleaning up dog poop, I enjoy walking my dogs. Sometimes I'll listen to Audible, sometimes I'll check up on social media. I get a lot of questions about that I like to answer personally.
Right.
So I'm never gonna quit walking the dog. We do have a dog walker. She's out of town for the next 2 weeks. It's kind of annoying because I like to walk Finnegan 15 minutes, but he gets anxiety if he doesn't walk for an hour. So I'm building a backup plan for when she's out of town. I did laundry yesterday because I haven't done laundry in 2 years. And the cleaning lady that we had moved. And so we got this laundry service coming, and I'm like, well, and I got like 20 of these. Yeah. So I washed them all, I hung them up. I like them a certain way. I like them filed in my cabinet a certain way. But here's the thing, if you walk in that cabinet and you got a cleaning lady, and every time you got to fix it, and you don't have a system, the way my socks, I literally throw all my socks out once a year. I buy the exact same pairs of all of them because I hate matching socks.
Right.
So why not? It's called going lean. It's called Six Sigma. It's called lean manufacturing, the Toyota way. and it's coming up with ways to be more efficient. And your whole life, you just think about things that you love to do and other things you could delegate or become more efficient with.
Yeah, no, I love it. This is great. Lot of value and wisdom there. Okay, pop that question back up. Okay, so does Tommy have a training program or a group similar to Nexstar?
So Nexstar focuses on HVAC, plumbing, electrical. Julian Scadden's a great friend of mine. I stay at his house when I go there. He's in Twin Cities, Minnesota. We're taking everything they've built, and I want to build it for every company, whether you're pest control, roofing, gutters, whatever it might be. Joe knows a lot about it. Joe showed me everything he built in the 90s, and we're duplicating it in a lot of ways. And I asked for Joe's help because he's a mentor. And so I don't want to make the same mistakes he built. The Genius Network, the not only the money flowing through here, but there's a bigger reason for me is these guys, why do you build a business? One of three reasons: to die and have the government take it, 2, to sell it, or 3, to give it to your kids. Your kids don't want your business as much as you might believe they love it. It's a means to an end for them, and they know it because dad or mom did it. So we're teaching people, what's your goal? Do you need 10 million, 20 million, 30 million? What do you enjoy doing? What does your life look like in 5 years? Do you enjoy golfing, fishing? Let's make sure we build a life you want, and then let's get you there, because you got to have that end in mind. So mine's more focused on how you're going to sell your business and getting the right systems, whether that's the chart of accounts, making sure you've got the right SOPs, making sure you got the right KPIs, making sure you got the right the balance sheet, income statement, cash flow statement, you're on accrual accounting. All these things that I've made mistakes of, how to get a delayed draw term loan in place, how to do acute quality of earnings, all these things the companies don't know about, getting the right lawyers. We're going to help that, but that's not the only reason we're doing it. But what better reason would you want to have a network to train you than to get to your destination, your outcome of the perfect life? No such thing as the perfect life, but there's a life you'd enjoy a lot more, which family, friends. People say, what's the perfect life with your mom and your sister, your niece and nephews? I'm like, I love them, but I don't want to go back to when I was a kid, 6 years old, mom, dad, and Kia. I want them around a lot, but I want it to be quality time. I want my phone turned off. And money does buy time in a lot of cases. Yeah. Because listen, we're having a chef. We're going to Lake Tahoe, and we're renting a boat. We're getting a guy to drive the boat. We're getting dinner. And I'm like, this is great. That's quality time. Because I don't enjoy going to the store like we talked about, like Richard, getting the stuff. Someone's running over here. Someone's taking the garbage out. Someone's cooking. And finally, we have a 30-minute dinner. Now everybody's going out. Let's enjoy the full day together.
Yeah.
So it's a lot like that, and I admire what they've built. They do amazing things. So there's a lot of things we're going to take from that. I never was part of that group, but I know a lot of people that are, and they've done amazing things. So I admire what Nexstar has built.
Mike, if you can put the Zoom gallery up there so we can see everyone. Dean Jackson, I'm going to ask Tommy about marketing, and I'd like you to pipe in. Is there anything that I didn't ask Tommy or bring up that you would like to? Since I've been doing I Love Marketing with Dean 2010.
By the way, you introduced me to Dean. I got to go to Florida, and Giuseppe was the camera guy. We had a lot of wind, and it was out there, but I love what he did in Canada with the real estate. He's like, dude, I wanted to be in Florida. Mm-hmm. He's like, I wanted to be here. I wanted to be in the perfect spot. He built the perfect life. He's happy. You cannot find Dean without a smile on his face. And you could tell what he's done. So thank you both for spending time and hooking us up.
Absolutely. So, Dean.
I was going to say, Joe, this whole thing, like, Tommy is so on track here to singing my song. Loving this idea of delegating as much as you can. And time is time. People often, they feel okay to delegate stuff at work begrudgingly, but then they're at home cutting the grass and doing the laundry and doing all the things. They don't value that time differently than they value time at work. So I look at this as trying to maximize 3 things: daily joy, abundant time, and financial peace. And we're trying to dial all of those up to 11. And so much of it is just starting with what brings you joy. Tommy talked about all the systems at home. I'm showing here. This is my house. We lovingly call our home the Four Seasons Valhalla. and Valhalla is the neighborhood where I live in. And we went through an exercise of thinking, what would happen? What would it look like if the Four Seasons came and took over the management of your home? What would that look like? And they bring with them everything. What would the food and beverage department look like, and the maintenance department, and the all of it, the concierge, the events, everything. And Joe, you remember you and I tried to set you up with the binder for that, trying to imagine the operating system for your house. So I think you're right on track with that, Tommy.
I think it's funny, Dean. I have to mention this because when you show the cup that Tommy, see what you notice about Tommy, every good idea he captures it, and he's going to have cups made branded for his new house, which is really badass. And as soon as you said the Four Seasons, if they manage everything, which is absolutely hysterical. And
we've got robes, like the robes
yeah.
in the guest room are Four Seasons.
Well, it's interesting, Dean, because I had a really good buddy. He's got one of the largest plumbing companies in the country. And he's like, dude, where's your freaking iron? So I ordered irons for every room, irons and ironing boards and steamers, because I'm like, that's kind of annoying. I get that. So these little things, I can't predict everything, but somebody's going to say, I need an iron, and someone's going to go find the iron in one of the rooms, versus me, I act. I do. I don't wait. I don't wait for the perfect timing and tomorrow's going to be a better day and next month I'll get started. I fall down all the time. I guarantee you guys, if you've seen a guy make more mistakes in your life, I'd be surprised who it is, because I fall all the time. I just get back up. I don't make the same mistakes twice, but I'm not afraid to get started. So many people are like, I'm going to start that diet next week. I'm going to finally start working out. This is the day to get started. Start now. Don't wait. Because if you wait, you procrastinate. But I also have the trainer come to me. And I also am working on the nutrition plan that works in my life. I'm working on somebody that, Giuseppe follows me with the camera. He's great. But also I'm like, listen, I don't eat right. So I had my assistant literally put times to eat. The bottles of water end up on my desk, the vitamins that I need. She's going to my doctor's appointments with me on just getting at the healthiest nutrition, vitamins that I need. Because I'm like, how do I make this so easy for me?
Right.
And that's what I'm thinking about all the time.
I have to comment on this too, and then we'll come to the marketing in a moment, I promise. Like Joe DeSena, who's the founder of Spartan Races. So he came to one of my 100K groups, and he was sitting right over here in this room. And I totally know this whole gig because I've known him for a while. He's interviewed me for his podcast. I've been a speaker at the Spartan World Championships, all this stuff. So he lugs around a kettlebell with him, and he comes to speak here. The guy's company, just surpassed 100 million a year in sales when he at this time, and he has a luggage tag on a kettlebell. And it's just sitting there. And of course, I knew why it was there, but I wanted to have this be a prop for him to give a talk. And so we got all these people in, the 100K group, running giant companies. A lot of people running just very, very big companies. And I said, Joe, what's the whole deal with this kettlebell? Why do you check a kettlebell? And he's like, yeah. He goes, it's a way to remind me to never let my life get too soft. So it's a pain in the ass to carry this thing around, but it reminds me. So here's the thing, though. The reason I bring this up is there's different reasons in different contexts why people do the things it is they do. Like I just had Dr. Doug Brackman, who wrote the book Driven, and there's 5% of the population has the D2D4 hunter gene, and the rest are farmers. I mean, you and me are totally hunters, right? And the vast majority of the world is farmers, and so there's a certain drive. Like a Gary Vaynerchuk is I've interviewed Gary in this room. He is a full-blown hunter. So a lot of people that are farmers, they see Gary ranting and raving. I mean, they're just never going to be like that. They're not wired like that. And so my whole thing, doing laundry. I actually turn laundry into a ritualized system. I can either listen to podcasts, or I can just think, or I can do it. But I'm sitting here listening to, I loved what you wrote down. I'm going to go do a whole new audit of things that are ways, the whole tracking every 30. I used to do this starting back in 1998 was the first time I started a coaching group with a guy named Jeff Smith, and it was called 2X plus 1, where how to double your income and take an extra day off a week if you want to do that. So it's like, how do you actually do that? And one of the things is we would have people for 2 weeks track literally every 30 minutes and everything in between, but it was broken down where they could write every single thing they did, how many phone calls they did, when they used the bathroom, when they ate meals, when they brushed their teeth, like everything, so that people could audit and evaluate what are the shit that you could have other people to do that you don't want to do. So my whole view on this is like, Doug Brackman was just here at Genius Network on Thursday and Friday, and he was talking about David Goggins, who wrote a book called Can't Hurt Me. He goes, well, yeah, you can't hurt him, but he beats the shit out of himself all day long. He hurts himself because he's so damn driven. So it was this whole, but I sit and listen to everybody, and I'm like, some things are right and work for that person, and for other people, that's not all they're looking for.
No, I'll tell you this. I don't get up at 4 a.m. and do an ice bath and go through torture. You gotta do something you hate every day. That works for some people, and I'm okay with that, and they want to put themselves through torture so they can appreciate the fine things in life. I'm just straight to the fine things in life. I'm like, listen, make it fun and interesting for me, no doubt. Like, make things. I like to be challenged. I like to win. I'm a competitive SOB.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, what would be better than me working out would be give me something competitive to do that would be building something. Have me, just something that I enjoy. Like, what's a sport you love that you could go have swim races? Or if you like mountain biking, make sure you find a compatibility and accountability partner at home and at work. That's one thing we do with every employee, is find an accountability partner at work and at home. Because people that know, if your wife or husband know exactly what you want to accomplish and what's in it for you, and the kids know, they're like, Eric Parks comes home from work, they're like, Dad, did you sell a door today? His wife's like, don't come home until you sell a door. It's like, so I don't go through the torture of these things that some of these people are like, you got to just push yourself to that extra limit. Like, listen, do what you're comfortable with and do things the easiest way possible. To get into an ice bath, if you don't absolutely enjoy it, I enjoy cryo better than I like ice baths. And I know maybe you don't get
Maybe that's because you're just kind of, weak and timid. I don't know.
That might be. But I'll tell you guys, at the end of the day, I don't mind doing something you don't like. There's going to be stuff for your whole life you don't like. Sometimes going to work, but one thing I do say is make sure you enjoy Mondays. Because if you start to hate Mondays and you hate the majority of your life, you go through and one day you wonder where to go.
Yeah.
And Ferris Bueller said it at the end of his movie. He's sitting there in bed, he goes, one day, if you don't start to wake up and smell the coffee, it's going to go by. And I think that's probably the best lesson is time, health, and money. And it goes like this: health, time, then money. Money could help both these things if you do it right. Money's just a tool. It's not the love of money. The Bible never says the money the root of all evil. Yeah. It doesn't say that in the Bible. It says the love of money is the root of all evil. Money's a great thing. So don't look at money and say, God, you can't praise money. But if it buys you time and helps you become healthy and more quality time with the people that you love, you're winning.
Yeah, well, people say money can't buy happiness. Also, haven't given enough of it away.
I've been using that. I've been using your line. I'm going to speak at 2 events next week, and these are the type of things. Doing this and being part of this and taking some knowledge you guys drop on me, I use this stuff and I make sure I use it. I'll go home, take notes, put it in. I use slideshows to keep me. I know you don't like slideshows. I just use them to keep my time right.
Oh no, I use them once in a while too. Whenever because it keeps an ADD person like me on track. And Giuseppe, you know what's so great is we're going to shoot a video of me and you in an ice bath, an actual real ice bath. Even though you probably hate it, but that'll make.
I'll do it. I'm not afraid of it. I just don't. I'm not the type of guy that wakes up at 4 a.m. and they're like, "What's your morning routine?" I'm like, I'm a night owl. And people are like, your routine is who wakes you. And I agree, there's a lot of things you can set yourself up for. What you do the night before to prep. There's all kinds of things you could do to make life go easier. But people are like, what do you study? Do you study EOS? Yes, I know Gino Wickman. I've had him on my podcast. I know Mark Winters. I've had him on my podcast. I've created my own system. And I don't need to read a book. And I've read over 2,000 books. I have 1,200 on Audible. I don't need this. like the other person's system. I've created an own that works for me, is all I'm saying.
No, I mean, I think that's the great way to take information is you figure out what do you need solved, how does this apply, how do you utilize this, and take what you like and leave the rest. That's a great line out of 12 Steps. And, you know, I was interviewed yesterday for my book, The Miracle Morning for Addiction Recovery, and one of the first things I opened up with, I said, look, I'm mostly nocturnal. I mean, I wrote The Miracle Morning for Addiction Recovery with Hal Elrod and Anna David because a lot of people were using The Miracle Morning for their addiction recovery, and Hal said, can we do a book together for people in addiction? So we did one specific, but I said to the guy, I go, it's really about the rituals. I don't care if you do them at 10 a.m. It doesn't really matter to me. The fact is, if there's something here that would be helpful, you design a life that works. Because at the end of the day, does it work or does it not work? Because when people try to adopt someone else's value system and they hate it, it doesn't expand them, it contracts them, like discard it. Like just live your life the way you want to live your life. And like you said, no one's going to be perfect. I mean, like you're either on track or you get off track. And I think success is, it's not that the treadmill of shit never disappears. It's constantly there. What happens is your ability to navigate it, your ability to be resourceful, because the things for successful entrepreneurs, if you had to deal with, like before 9 a.m. every morning, you deal with stuff that the average employee probably doesn't deal with in the entire week, month, maybe year. And if you were dealing with some of the same stuff when the first week you started out that you deal with today, it would have crushed you. So you've developed all these capabilities and all these skills over the years. So let's talk about, let's see, hold on. Let me see if Kaylee's question, what advice can you offer to someone starting their business when they don't have the financials to get things going? Okay, let's answer that and then we'll come to the marketing.
Yeah, you know, a lot of people, that's the biggest downfall I see is they don't have any money. They don't have any access to a loan. They don't have a credit score. On the other end, they have a ton of money, so they make big mistakes and lose a lot up front. So I like going in because you're more hungry and you don't have a lot. But you got to set a plan. First of all, you got to set a personal budget to have enough money to get started. And you're going to be the worker. There's no doubt about it. You can't hire a labor when you don't have money, but you got to create the systems. The nice thing about going into a small business and designing it yourself is you'll make the mistakes if you document appropriately. You'll build checklists for people. So you'll say, shoot, if you're starting a pie company, you'll say, this is what not to do, and here's how you make sure you don't burn the pies. So I think there's advantages, but what I would tell you is if you don't have the financials, I don't recommend, like a lot of people do, lean on your network, because I don't think it's right to go to mom and dad or anybody else to get going. I think you have to have a plan to get started, set a budget in 1 year, and say, here's how much money I'm going to go into it. And the best advice I've ever given is find a business to what you want your business to look like. When you're small, you might go to $1 million company. Then I'd go to $5 million companies. Then I spent a lot of time at $100 million companies. Now I'm going to $1 billion operations to find out what it looks like. The air is different, the SOPs are different, the org chart's different. But if you don't know exactly and can visualize what your business looks like, spend time learning that. But I think you got to save some money. You don't need a lot of it because you are going to be the employee for the first couple of years most likely, but I think there's a lot of opportunities that come from that.
Yeah. So on ilovemarketing.com, me and Dean have a report called Breakthrough DNA, which goes through the 8 profit activators. And if you need money, you got to figure out how to make money. Like I've never built a company by raising capital because a lot of times people that are raising money, they have no idea how to sell something, so they're raising money in the hopes that they're magically going to figure out a profitable business model. So whenever I need money, I figure out what people want to buy. I create marketing that puts information in front of anything that I'm selling, and that's what I first started doing with consumer awareness guides and free recorded messages before the internet. I mean, you advertise everywhere, and I think you're getting better at marketing and figuring out, you know, there's a line on the wall that says any problem in the world can be solved with the right sales letter by Gary Halbert. And when I first heard that line from him back in the mid-90s, I was thinking to myself, well, there's lots of things that can't be solved with a sales letter. What if you need a love relationship? What if you have a child that needs a kidney transplant? What if you are unhealthy? Well, the more I think about it, you actually can write a sales letter for almost anything.
You get a kidney.
Yeah, I mean, you could advertise for pretty much almost anything, or at least you can open the door and let people know what it is you're looking for. It may not give you the immediate solution, may not give you money, but you can do a lot of things by putting messaging out there. So I had this sugar packet that I always reference. Years ago, I was in a small town, like a little diner, like trading post sort of place, and there was this packet of sugar on the table, and they had all these captions, and one of them said advertising, and the caption said, "He who has something to sell and whispers in a well is not as apt to make the shiny dollar as the guy that climbs the tree and hollers." And a lot of people have stuff to sell, but they whisper in a well. They don't advertise it. They don't promote it. And the fact is, you advertise everywhere. You have built. You do a lot. What's your advertising budget a year? Do you have any marketing advertising?
Let's see. This year, I will spend around $25 million in marketing.
Okay, so I think you're qualified to speak to what works and what doesn't work, or at least how to think of it. So how would you even define marketing? Why do you love it? If you're spending as much money on marketing as your company is netting, and it's probably netting that because you're spending that money on marketing. So.
Well, the way I define marketing is, look, you got to drive leads, right? You got to get people that need your service. So there's a few things you could do. You can get them to buy other products, which might be a cheaper acquisition cost to you. But most of all, we track everything. We know TV, radio, and billboards, no BS about direct response marketing is fine. Mm-hmm. But I know if I do TV, radio, billboards, my Google click-through rate goes up, the branded search terms go up. When I get branded searches searching A1 garage door service, they see my vans, they see the yard signs, they see the ad you just pulled up, not the Valpak, but the other one. That's pay for performance. I pay 0 ads. They put me everywhere.
This little one?
Yeah, I don't pay anything for that. Yep. I pay a percentage because I got such good attribution. We send a report daily to all the people, and it's called pay for performance. Mm-hmm. Anytime I could get performance pay, I'll do it. And now I can get it with TV, radio, billboards. I get performance pay in a lot of things, and then I sell performance pay. I'm working on a mailer where I'm putting the 10 best companies when you move into a house. You need your locks changed, you need to change your garage door codes, you need to get your pull service, you need to get your cable. So I'm going to send it for free for them, but all attribution models that I'll get paid. My goal is just to break even. Yeah. But now I'm going into flooring. I'm going into
because you're wanting to acquire a client.
Yeah. Yep. So Google, what I found on demand-like services is the best. Whereas you'll have my buddy Josh owns Snow, the teeth whitening. You see them all over. His is better for social media. So storage will be better for social media than I think Google will be. But hitting the right avatar at the right time is half the battle. Like when you first move into a house, I don't necessarily want to market to you, but unless you're looking for flooring and storage, now I do want to market to you. But you don't have any garage door problems if it's a brand new home. Right. So it's understanding your target audience. And like I said earlier, there's a point of no return where it's diminished returns. But I will do that because stickers, I know, I don't always need to make a profit, but I got to have a plan. And I got to make sure I'm testing that plan. So if I don't make a profit, but I'm growing market share, I always tell people when I worked out, I used to be a trainer at Gold's Gym. When you're trying to put on mass muscle, it's hard to get ripped. Putting on mass muscle is putting on revenue. Profitability is getting chiseled. If you ever tried to gain 20 pounds of muscle and get ripped at the same time, you're going to spend 2 years. You get big, you watch the guys work out, they get big, then 2 months before they get chiseled.
Yep.
And it's hard to do both.
That's a great analogy. It really is. Yeah, I could just kind of bring it in. And because I think you have just tested so much. And so by the way, I don't care if someone uses direct response or not. What I care about is if what they're doing is working or not. And in my experience for small business owners, pursuing a big brand recognition when they don't have a big company is often money that is massively wasted. And they don't even really understand what building a brand is. And when you have all of the where you're everywhere, every time someone sees you, be it a billboard or wherever on TV, it is just deepening all of the other things that you've planted seeds for. So I look at your companies, you've put a lot of seeds everywhere. There's a lot of different things, and they're all integrated. So the integration is what makes it work together, because I think some people, as a standalone, if they were doing many of the things you're doing, just doing this but not doing that, they wouldn't have the leverage that these things you have. And plus, because you're doing so much, you're buying this advertising. Either you're negotiating deals where you're not paying anything for it, and it's what you just explained, or you're getting discounted rates. So for all of these companies that you're buying and all of the people that are in your network, I imagine you are setting up really great advertising fees for groups like that too. Correct?
Yeah. So obviously, I get economies of scale. I could buy better, and you buy a lot. I think Google's the main thing you start with, because when your garage door breaks, the difference is, are they searching A1 garage door service, or are they searching garage door repair Phoenix? So understanding the 4 algorithms on Google: pay-per-click, there's local service ads, there's your Google My Business page with your hours and reviews, and then there's organic search. Dominate those 4, get really good at them. I think I see these billboards. Brandon Rafi is a good friend of mine.
Yeah. He's everywhere.
Yeah, he does a great job, but they call it the Rafi effect. I came up with the term, the Rafi effect. Literally, I was in my last seminar I did, because the Rafi effect is, you go into a market and it starts to be a tornado, but you got to have a lot of money to do it. And he said, Tommy, when I went from 59% to 70% conversion rate, meaning that I got a phone call and it turned into he's an accident attorney.
Yeah. No, and for people that don't know what he's talking about, this is a local attorney in the Phoenix, Arizona area.
He's doing 800 cases a month. He's doing 500 in Tucson. And it's hard for even to fathom. And the way you get those numbers is you go and you take over. But you got to have those KPIs down. You got to have I can figure out anybody's business. You give me your revenue goal, your average ticket, your conversion rate, your booking rate, and your cost to acquire a customer, I'll give you your marketing budget. And then I'll take those KPIs and we can move them to show you where you need to be. But you got to have a high booking rate and a high conversion rate. Otherwise, I don't care about new customers, because we're seeing the customers come in that we're wasting.
Right.
And a lot of people confuse that. They go, I need more. You know what weak-minded people do? Is they say, I need more customers right off the bat when things start to go. They don't look at, well, what's happening with all your form fills? Why aren't you responding to Angie's List? Why don't you have a chatbot on your website? Where are all these opportunities? I don't even need to be good at a lot of things to make a ton of money, and I'm just refining certain things. But I'll tell you this: I gave radio a year before I said, I do all these things. My radio ads, my billboards, my yard signs, my website, they all look, my wrap of my vehicle, they all feel like the same company. It wasn't always like that. That was Dan Antonelli helping me brand correctly. You can't get more than 5 words on a billboard. That's why I don't even have a phone number on my billboard. People are like, and one year I put all my billboards upside down. People are like, what in the hell are you doing? People were coming in saying, you guys screwed up. I'm planning on hiring somebody to vandalize all my billboards, but I want them to be able to wash off, because then the media's picking it up. So, there's a lot of ways you could be. Every time Haro, help a reporter out, we're doing things. There was a lady that got ripped off. It was on national news that we went and gave her a free garage door. I'm keeping an eye on what the media is doing and always being there for that. And we're doubling down on everything, but there's a system in place, and I nail it, then I scale it, then I move to the next one. I'm not like, I'm going to
scale it, move to the next one.
I don't go into all these things, and I'm like, because I see so many people, they're like, I tried radio, I did Valpak for a month, I tried pay-per-click, I've done social media, I'm on my 3rd different social media guy. I'm like, what have you stuck with? Have you stuck with anything? My podcast just passed 1 million downloads. It got 20,000 downloads the first 2 years total. But I just did it every single week. And I use that as therapy for myself, and I'm like, wait a minute, you tried it for 2 months and it didn't work? Really? Have you ever brushed your teeth for a full day and expected to have perfect teeth? What have you tried in 2 months that actually has worked? Like, great, nothing. You got to stay committed to it. Yeah. And you got to figure out how to be better and how to tweak it and how to attribution and make sure that it's getting a little bit better each week.
That's great. All right, who do we have a question for? We're going to have one, and then I'm going to, let's see, who is this? Brent, how are you?
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm on up in beautiful British Columbia, Canada here. It's a little cold right now. Tommy, you're a beauty buddy. I've been following you for a while. I think you guys might have actually answered my question, but I'm actually in the office and there was hectic stuff behind me, so I didn't hear. So regarding like all this stuff you're talking about is just gold. And I'm the one who reached out to Nexstar Network, but I actually have a competitor who works. He's actually a friend of mine, but he's my local competitor. He's been part of their network for the last 8 years, and his company, ever since he joined them, has just blown up. And they're all systemized. His whole company is systemized. I'm looking for. I know I need to get systemized, but I don't know where to go to do it. I'm taking the company over, me and my sister, from my dad, who was just a blue collar guy, and at the end of every month, as long as he had enough to pay his mortgage and pay his employees, he felt like he was successful. And I think a little different than that. So I'm looking for a network similar to Nexstar that I can join and tap into this knowledge every day and start implementing these systems and having training to help me do that. Because I know I need it, but I don't know where to go to get it.
Well, that's good. So Tommy actually has a whole process for that. So
we're starting something in November. Joe's going to be speaking. It's November 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Orlando. We're expecting over 1,000 people, and it's going to be, the event. There's so many people that get the football player on stage. I think you have to have a little bit of what to do, a little bit of inspiration, not just one or the other. Nexstar actually had made that mistake. I talked to a lot of people at Nexstar, and they said sometimes they focus on KPIs and morning rituals or whatever. The other times they'll have Joe Montana come, and there's a happy medium. But we're putting systems in that I know work that'll build value into the company, that make your life easier, get your time back, and also, in my book, I talk about an equity incentive program. I talk about open book management, not having secrets. I had 2 of my best managers at my house. People are like, I can't have them over my nice house. I bought that house for relationships, to be able to build memories. So my program, it's not even my program, it's a culmination of a lot of great people, and Joe's going to be hopefully very involved with it, is designed in a Nexstar way. Nexstar's goal is 15% bottom line for their average client. I think we could do better than that, but I look up to those guys, and I never want to. They're such great friends of mine that run that program. They're employee owned. It's not like a ESOP, but it's similar to a board. I think we got a little bit more flexibility with what we're doing, and I hang out with the biggest guys in the industry. You talk about the biggest roofing, biggest plumbers, biggest HVAC. The reason I went to follow HVAC, plumbing, electrical, and roofers is because those are the guys with the private jets. So I was like, let me learn by the guys that actually have assets to prove it. Because everybody says, oh, I'm killing it. I got the guys that did the Terminex deal. They're flying into town. Terminex is trading at 30x. 30x EBITDA. I mean, success leaves clues. I've just been there to pick up a lot of them and focus on them. But I would read the book, The 7 Power Contractor. Al Levy, I met him in 2017. I hired him. He always jokes around because I say I paid him a lot of money. Gave him about $500,000. Best $500,000 I've ever spent in my life, because he got my ADD under control. Got me to sit down in a room and work on systems. Put manuals that sound annoying, but they were so. How does a person win in your company? You say just do good, or do they say here's what's expected, here's how you win? You got to have manuals, standard operating procedures, and checklists. And that's the beginning. You got to have an org chart. What does the company look like? Who reports to who? How do I win? How do I move up? Where's the ladder to success? So we're doing that. I don't know how patient you are, but by the end of the year, I promise you, our program will compete with any program out there. As much as I like Nexstar, we want to be the best of the best in every industry. And I'm pulling in my buddies from every industry to help be the mentors, to give feedback on what's working out there. And I'm not talking about $5 million companies. I'm talking about billion-dollar companies. And those are the type of people we're bringing in.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. So if there's a link, put a link for Tommy's book, which is called Elevate, Build a Business Where Everybody Wins. And here, I'll just read the table of contents so you kind of have a gist of what it is. So the intro is the $100 million brainstorm, then embracing the Elevate mindset. Then it goes through the pillars. The first pillar, leadership. The second is culture. The third is marketing. The fourth is recruiting. The fifth is systems. And then chapter 7 is getting started. So you will find this book really really, really valuable. Go ahead and buy a copy of that. Also, when Tommy, if you are interested in Tommy's event in Orlando, just go ahead and put it in the chat that you're interested. Or, how would we actually? Do you have a link? Where
so the link will be live this weekend. It's freedomevent.com, and a better place to get the book, because I give away a bunch of freebies. Like, I spent a month building stuff I just wanted to give away, but I can't get it through Amazon.
Right.
It's elevateandwin.com.
Elevateandwin.
Elevateandwin.com. But freedomevent.com. It'll be up this weekend, and literally, I have an opportunity to learn from Joe. And how much you had Bill Phillips? You were giving away cars back in the '90s. Bill Phillips did like a ridiculous amount of money, and you were helping coach him.
Yeah, $300 million back in 1999 is what he sold the company.
$300 million in 1999. So I want to use. Joe took me down to this secret room with a little library downstairs, and he pulls out all these 3-ring binder notes and pictures. And then he came to my house, brought a couple. That was amazing, and we started whiteboarding. And what I'm learning from Joe is just how this whole thing works. The room we're in, the Genius Network. I'm telling you guys what I believe about the Genius Network is your network is your net worth. And I believe you surround yourself with great people that'll always put you forward. I told Joe, listen, man, Joe's like, you got to start coming to these meetings. And I'm like, listen, if I could get them planned 6 months in ahead, because I've been on the road a lot, and it's hard because you know how it is.
Yeah.
And you took a sabbatical for a year, and I think that I don't need that anytime soon. But you said, I'm just going to slow down. You only spoke to one recovery center, but my goal is to be here more often. I think what Joe does, there's 2 reasons I want Joe involved. 3 reasons. I love Joe. He's amazing. Number 2 is he created something I want to create. Number 3 is because he's down for what we're trying to do. He came from the grassroots. He came from home service, and he's done it. So I surround myself with people like that. It's hard for me to go wrong because he's steered me in the right direction, and I think he's steered you guys in the right direction as well.
No, thank you. I appreciate it. And so, Dean Jackson, what would you say, what did I not ask Tommy that you would like to ask him, or any discussion point you'd like to bring up before we wrap up in a few minutes?
Holy cow. Value per minute index is a KPI.
Yeah, this
very
so
high on this one. Yeah. So I think that's fantastic. I just think, my observation is this is something that Tommy has done is, our profit activator number 1 in the Breakthrough DNA book is select a single target market. And focusing on one single-minded thing, garage doors, nothing but garage doors is a big, big piece of this. It makes all of your decisions very easy when you wake up in the morning and your obsession is that we're going to be not only the number 1 garage door company in the world, but riding that to be the number 1 home services company in the world. It's exciting, I look at him. I don't know if anybody's been following Deion Sanders at Colorado University, and I just love everything about what Deion Sanders is doing at Colorado University. And I think that a lot of those things, I think Tommy's got a lot of those same mentalities there. His number 1 focus is waking up every morning. How is this going to make how is this going to help me develop our team, develop our structure, develop our whole environment around achieving this one goal in a way that everybody around me can help achieve their goals too. So good. Really, thanks for contributing all that, Tommy.
And just like, what is something or a couple things right now that you are trying to solve that you haven't solved yet? Because I think it's interesting for people, because I think what you've shared has been so damn useful to so many people. And what is something that you're trying to solve, just to get a idea of how you keep building this bigger future?
I mean, there's a lot of things that my brother-in-law come in and I look at my fleet. We're building a new fleet management system that actually, the worst thing in the world is we're a premium company to have a broken mirror, or to have a wrap coming off, or just a dirty truck, Like I'm working on software to solve that. Another thing is social media. I'm creating self-generated leads that you could have, whether it's going to a BNI meeting, getting your daughter's soccer league involved, like creating attribution models where everybody becomes a marketer within the company. I wanted to tell a quick story because this is I Love Marketing. Do you mind?
No, please. Go ahead.
So in the book Elevate, I wrote a story how COVID happened. And Darren Hardy wrote a book a long time ago, Compound Effect. He wrote it in a lot of things. He wrote down 100 things that he wanted in a woman, you know. And he looked at this list and he goes, well, I don't think I could pick up a chick like this. So he writes 100 things he would need to become. And when I read that, I wrote down 40 things that I would need to become a great leader, to be worthy of the people that I wanted to attract. And when COVID happened, I had a line outside of my door, and the first guy walks in and says, can you cut my pay in half? My wife's got a good job. I'm not looking for anything in return. He goes, till this whole nasty virus gets done with, I'm good. And I'm like, I didn't know what was going to happen in the PPP money. There was things, if we didn't do that, then I had another person give us all of his sick time. And then I walked out of that thing and I realized one thing. I'm a really good marketer. I know how to get so many customers for any home service company, really for anything. I could do e-commerce, you name it. But then my marketing brain shifted after that day. And it said, how do I attract the best people? Because one A player will run circles around 3 B players. So how do I get this perfect canvas? And just A players are so special, and to attract the right people that they're willing to leave their current job and come to me, and come to us, and come to the culture, and come to A1. So I would just tell everybody, if you want to build a great business, start focusing on the people you want on your team almost more than getting more clients. Because if you build a funnel for great people, you can't help but make a lot of money. The money comes, the time comes, the happiness comes, the abundant mindset comes, and you love Mondays again. So my marketing brain has completely shifted more now to be in there to make sure we're attracting the right people to grow the business.
I love that. Yeah, and I also love the just even the statement, you'll love Mondays again, because if you're involved in a business where you just are completely disengaged and you're not able to tap into, you feel completely disconnected from it, life sucks. And we've all said, as an entrepreneur, inside every entrepreneur is someone slowly going crazy almost all of the time. But when it's continually sucking all the time, you have to figure out, how do you make it not unsuck? And there's a book written in the 90s by Anthony Greenback, and I've said this quote a lot because I think it's a great quote. I won't say it exactly right. I'm not sure the order, but it goes like this. It says, in order to get through an impossible situation, you don't need the reflexes of a Grand Prix driver, the mind of an Einstein, the muscles of a Hercules. You simply need to know what to do. And so, oftentimes we don't know what to do, and we grapple with it, and we're in the dark place, or we're not making enough money, or, and this could be personally and professionally. But the fact is, there are people that know what to do. And the reason I bring someone like you here is you certainly have known how to build an incredible company. You are, every single, how many jobs are you doing on average per day?
We do about 18,000 a month. Weekends are a little less than weekdays.
Yeah, I mean, so this is the amount of people that your company is just servicing, and all the employees, 600 plus that there's a lot here. So you certainly need to know what to do with it. And you also said you surround yourself with amazing people, and you're always looking how to build in great team members. So this was, I would like everyone that is watching this live on Zoom, I would like, on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most valuable, 1 not being valuable at all or useful, I'd like you to just post so I can share this with Tommy. How would you rate this, and what would be, and can you see all these over here?
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and
you can put a 9 if you want.
They're great. So that's really good. So that being said, let's keep this going. Read Tommy's book. After you've read his book, at some point in the near future, I'll do another session with Tommy. We'll invite you back onto this.
and it'll be good. And if you've got any ahas or insights, please share what your greatest aha or insight was from this, and I will also print this out and share it with Tommy so he can read what other people are getting out of this, because I think that's always a good policy when people come and contribute their knowledge, their wisdom, their capabilities, their time. I like them to be able to see what it's doing for other people. And for those of you that are listening online, get a copy of Tommy's book. How do people follow you on social media and listen to your podcasts?
Home service expert, 22nd top business podcast. We'll get to the top 10. You can follow me on any social media. It's official Tommy Mello. And my favorite quote of all time, and I believe this and I live by this, is you could have anything you want in life if you just help enough people get what they want. Zig Ziglar. So if anybody needs anything, get a hold of me. I'm easy. Social media, Tommy Mello, no W. I'm on Twitter. I'm on all the social medias. We're trying to grow that because we're trying to be something really big to help millions of people. And that's the home service space. But really, this stuff applies to any business. But Joel, I love marketing and I love being here.
It's so great, and thank you. And I want you to, and also Tommy's in Genius Network. So if you're interested in Genius Network, and there are some Genius Network members on here right now, so geniusnetwork.com. And if anyone wants help building an ELF business, we have the ELF coaching group that we have. And so I'll ask any of my team to put a link if someone wants to do a short discovery call to just evaluate if it would be a right fit for you, then go ahead and click on the link that I'll have my team post, and you can explore that. And I will probably ask Tommy to be on an ELF coaching session for the members, because I think that would be pretty useful. Is there anything else that I didn't ask you, or anything that you wanted to share that we did not cover?
I don't think so. I think the mindset of my dreams got to be big enough to fit everyone that I works with. Dreams inside is so important. I don't focus on my goals. If I could accomplish their dreams, the way that I pay their scorecards, the performance pay, is focused. I win automatically when they win. So I just think it's so important to the mindset of what's in it for them. Hence Joe's book, of just having this mindset of have a bigger dream a little bit bigger. I watch people that go, I hope I could do 2 million in 5 years. I'm like, I hope you could do 200 million. Dream big, focus on other people's goals, build the right compensation programs. You can't help but win.
Yeah, totally. All right, so utilize everything that we had discussed today, and think of this when we're leaving as today is the last day of the way you used to be. There's so much insight here that you can go and apply. So whatever was the biggest idea, give yourself a few minutes to just write down a couple of actions or things that you can do or things that you can stop doing. Buy your time back, whatever sort of insight you got from Tommy, put it into play, and go look at the people that are the most valuable and important relationships in your business, personally and professionally, and give them some appreciation, give them some love, and I think if you do that, things are going to get a lot better. And there was one thing we were going to show the. Do we have that video of the backpack? So this is funny, Tommy. I was like, for instance, I have my buddy Pat here, and we're going to. You met him right before we started, and I've known Pat forever, and we're going to set up like a concierge follow-up service with literally calling people on the phone, texting them, doing all this to ramp up our touch points with people. And we have one room where we want to actually put this as an office. And I got a whole bunch of stuff there, and my team's going to have a website with this 90-second video on it, and I recorded it yesterday. But let's just play this. Well, let me say this. We're going to play this video, and if you actually want one of these backpacks, I'm like, let's just play it here, because if they donate $200 or more, I'll fill this backpack up with some incredible stuff, including a signed copy of Tommy's book, and including a signed copy of my own book, and this. If anyone donates, we'll do this for whoever the top 10 biggest donations are. My buddy Joe Sugarman, who unfortunately passed away recently, his daughter called me and said, I've got some inventory of some of his books that on Amazon. This book is selling for around $100, Triggers, and this one, the seven Forces of Success. When I was looking, it was like there are used copies selling of this for like up to $300 to $500, and I actually have copies here, so we'll include those in the backpack too. But let's just go ahead.
show this.
Okay, behind me is one of the many rooms at the Genius Network headquarters. We've got a ton of books from some of my friends and members. We have got, no one really wants a Joe Polish doll, do you? We have got backpacks. We have got shirts. We have got all kinds of weird stuff. I mean, what are these things called, Mike?
Oh, a horn, a
Horn.
megaphone, right?
A megaphone. Is it even really called a megaphone?
Yeah. I think that was digital, so it's not even doing that.
So we've got all kinds of crap in here. Bottom line is, it's not crap, actually. It's priceless material. So what I'm going to do, a little bit of a test here and do a fundraiser. We're going to, anyone that makes a donation for $200 or more to geniusrecovery.org, we're only going to do 10 of them, right? 10 of them. And we're going to send a Genius Network backpack, a Genius Network shirt, and I'm going to pick some books and some materials, plus a special product. You might even get a Genius Waffles waffle maker. So what I'd like you to do is click the link. If you trust me, just click below, make a donation to Genius Recovery, $200 or more, and you will get a care package sent to you in the mail. And the bigger the donation, the more awesomeness it's going to be filled with. And if you don't want to make a donation to 200 or more and just want to make a $10 donation or whatever, then you can do that too. Any donation over $10 will get a what's in it for them pair of socks.
See,
If you want to wear a pair of socks and say what's in it for them. Personally, they're very cool. So click the link below and go ahead and fill out the information. We'll send you one of these awesome things. And thank you. And that's a bunch of confetti in there in case we
need there's your first.
Something that's heavy.
I love it. Thank you.
And sharp edges. Okay, bye.
So there you go. So Tommy just gave me $200. This is fantastic. So he gets the first backpack.
Well, I wanted those books.
Here you go.
There we go.
They're yours.
That's it.
No,
Perfect.
these books are fantastic. And so, by the way, so yeah, if you want to make a donation, I think my team will put a link for geniusrecovery.org in there. And by the way, anyone that struggles with addiction, Genius Recovery, the goal is to change the global conversation about how people view and treat addicts with compassion instead of judgment, and find the best forms of treatment that have efficacy and share it with the world. We have a blog that comes out twice a week for anyone struggling with addiction, and that could be either you or a family member. And we have one of the top, most brilliant therapists, been doing it for years, Ken Wells. He's worked with more billionaires and more famous people than anyone I know, but just a lot of everyday people. And the guy's awesome. So he writes the blog for us. It's awesome. People love it. And it's not written by AI. It's written by real humans. So any donation you make will go to support helping with what we're doing with Genius Recovery. And I will, like I said, I'll put a copy of a signed copy of my book and of Tommy's book Elevate in there. And for the first 10 people, just go to geniusrecovery.org, make a donation, and we'll know who those people are. And we just need a physical mailing address for you, and we will send you out a backpack. And if it's $10 or more, I'll send you a pair of socks and maybe some other stuff. So, as usual, Tommy, thank you so much. You're awesome.
Okay, I hope you found that video awesome and useful. So if you want to get a free copy of my book, I want you to click here. And if you want to watch some more videos that'll be useful and awesome, click here. Go ahead. They're over here. Do it now. Come on. Thank you. Watch them.